Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Road, a trucking industry podcast. Today I am pleased to have two industry representatives from the van industry in-house here today, Eric Olson and Lars Offerdahl. Do you guys want to give a quick introduction on your roles here at ATS and go from there?
Yeah,
I was going to say, take them away, Oli.
All right. So Eric Olson, National Account Manager for our van division. I'm also doing our pricing and kind of our network development management within the vans group.
I'm Lars Offerdahl. I'm the Vice President of Van Operations. So I run the day-to-day operation side.
Okay. How are things at vans right now? The market overall?
Ugly could be a word to use to describe the market right now, or challenging. If we're
challenging,
is probably
positive spin on it. Yeah, a lot of opportunity. Opportunity.
Yeah. What is it? Growth and comfort rarely coexist.
Yep, I've heard that one.
So it's very, very challenging right now. The supply of trucks severely outweighs the demand for freight right now.
And how long has this been kind of permeating?
I think we've seen it we're probably going on a year and a half now where it's been a challenge. I think we saw signs of it, in fall of 22.
I think November of 2022 is like when you really knew things were changing.
Yeah.
So how does that play out in like the day to day as far as how does that impact you? I assume it's affecting rates. Is there still healthy volume of freight available? Is it, what are you seeing as far as the behavior playing out there?
I mean, I think right now everything that we're seeing is negative, right? There's a supply of trucks. There's not a supply of freight out there. Our contract prices are low. Spot prices are low. So really tough right now to gain some traction on anything that we're trying to do. And then, you look at costs and they've gone up and, we haven't seen the revenues come in to support that.
Have you seen, I've seen in the news, in the last 60, 90 days, some larger providers just refusing to extend additional contract rates or limiting what they're willing to commit to. Have you seen that any kind of ripple effect out there on the customer side based off of some of those decisions some of those carriers have made?
I think there's been some isolated pockets of it, but nothing,
It hasn't been that all of a sudden all the customers are recognizing that they need to move to spot pricing or anything like that. There's still people that are willing to commit to the freight long term. Yeah,
there are. I think right now, committing to the long term is safe for the shipper piece of it out there right now. You have rates pretty low locked in. So, no, we're seeing that, and I think we're even seeing some of them, come off of the contract, and some of the freight that normally would be under contract, they're running through spot pricing right now to, try to get as much as they can, bang for the buck as they can.
I do think there's, like, changes in the air. Was it this? I read a stat the other day, the Southeast had its highest rate of freight rejection since 2022. Oh, wow. So there's some movement from what's happening out there. Can you say it's directly from these big carriers changing their tactics? That's hard to say. Is it the volume's up? We're in that time of year where you can get some false positives because it's right before the 4th, so people are buying more, people are shipping more, so it's hard to say that it's sustainable change yet, but there is definitely a change in the last, 2 months, would you say?
Yeah, I think the hard part is to determine is that, like you said, a blip on the radar, or is it something that's sustainable? I was talking to a colleague at another trucking company, and I think he described it best. It's like your golf game. He stripes one right down the middle of the fairway, the next two go in the pond, right? So you just really don't know what's going on and what's sustainable, and are we getting a little bump from a weather event or produce season in the Southeast bumping things up temporarily for a week or two. So I think that's the hard part right now, just trying to gauge what everything's trending towards.
It's even operationally, we just have to operate so much more disciplined. Mm-hmm. So then you don't know, is the market changing? Are my actions just improving the results?
Right. Does it look better because it's something we're doing? Or
did I make this look better, or is it actually just better?
Right. Yeah, that's one of we were talking about that in the office and the flatbed group just the other day that that's one of the challenging things in transportation is you don't get consistent cycles long enough to really be able to tell some of those things. If the levers we're pulling are making an improvement and helping things, or is just the market kind of moving and, it's ebbing and flowing as the market flows.
Yeah, you need like a 90-day run of something consistent to know like, okay, this is what
exactly
caused this to happen.
Yeah, in kind of a vacuum, knowing that
Yeah.
there's not a bunch of other factors out there. Did you guys run into much regional seasonality, or is that, I know produce throws a wrench in things, and you guys obviously have peaks around like the holiday period.
I mean, the end of the year is going to be...
But is there any like regional stuff where the South gets busier in certain parts of the year and the North gets busier?
Yeah, well... Yeah, that's like a really complicated question because yes, I mean, especially because of the nature between reefer and van freight, and reefer carriers will haul like cross into van freight, and so if you hit a market that is like Eric said, produce season, your van freight available is naturally going to go up because every reefer carrier is going to capitalize on that reefer freight, and then you have with general dry commodities, any heavy retail season is going to push your freight availability up. So, the third and fourth quarter, when all the holiday push starts happening, you naturally have this rise in demand.
So, Eric, when we introduced you, you said you're network development manager, right?
Yeah, that's the rumor,
That's part of the role.
What
What does that mean? What is, explain what developing a network means in the van world.
Well, I think, it's a lot of analysis on what's working and what's not, just trying to really be in tune with the rates, trying to, the fluctuation of the rates from the spot market to the contract market, trying to look at length of haul, what makes sense for our drivers, where they're domiciled, and just, trying to match all that stuff up and then with the freight you have. And I think the challenging part right now is, those holes you have out there within your network, trying to, bring in more freight for it, right now at the rate that you need to be profitable on it is the tough part about it. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing.
So does that look different now than say in 22 as far as
I think
what you're looking at or just the maneuvers you need to make to kind of shift things around?
I think you go back to we touched on some of the operational efficiencies, right? Trying to make your freight look better, to reduce some of the deadheads. So I think we've tightened things up a little bit, have a more defined network that we can provide sales to go out and, sell to that, inform our customers what we're trying to do, where we want to run, and then try to be disciplined to that as much as we can. Reducing the deadhead, trying to get drivers home more often by picking and delivering in areas where they're domiciled, I think are all things that we've done a lot in the last 2 years and really trying to refine that and not just be kind of more of a shotgun approach that, we'll pick up and go anywhere, if the price is right. So, just trying to define that a little more.
Yeah, I think in 2022, there was so much freight out there compared to capacity that anybody, a shipper could just pay you to leave your own network and you would do it because you knew you'd come back on a spot load that paid you just as much to get out there, where that doesn't exist anymore. So like California is an example. We don't run out there. 2022, you could convince us to do a load out there, right? And we'd make a bunch of money doing it and it was fine. Now it's just the money doesn't exist to do it. The opportunity doesn't even exist to really do it for us. So we just stay right inside of our primary network area.
So a lot of that is controlling costs and inefficiencies within your guys' own network, right? Is there a customer benefit there with having a defined network that?
I think service.
Well, service, right? Creates density, right? So you have a truck fail, we usually have someone else that can pop up and pick it up. So I think that's what we see from a customer standpoint. And then just, knowing us and understanding what we can do, so they can lean on that. But service is the big thing that we can provide with that.
Yeah, I mean, if just to put it in simple terms, if you have one truck in California and that truck breaks down, that's the end of it. You're not going to fix that load issue for that customer. But if you have 50 trucks in Chicago today
and a truck
breaks down, well, you just shuffle the deck and figure it out.
So, Lars, I assume you're heavily involved in costs of operating the business, right? What have you seen those do? I know they've increased. Do you have any kind of
Oh, I mean, it's
numbers,
boy,
metrics as far
I
as how
couldn't
much
throw an exact number at you on all of our costs, but I mean,
is it across the board? Pretty
yeah,
much
it's
everything's
across the
done
board. And I mean, what you could look at the inflation rate, and we're going to match
Right.
that. What is inflation at? I just heard it on the
Infinity?
debate last night. 20%. Is that what they said on the debate last night? Is that accurate? Do they?
I didn't
actually
take the
give
time to
accurate
watch
numbers
the
on
debate
debate?
last night.
But
We'll take your word for it.
yeah, I think it's 20%, and I would get our costs have risen equally with that. I mean, it's everything costs more. Tires cost more.
Yeah.
Any repair costs more. Wages cost more.
Is there any one specific cost area that kind of you watch closer that you're most concerned about, whether that's maintenance costs, insurance costs, anything where it's kind of they've risen up rapidly so far and you still kind of think that there's a cliff out there?
Well, I mean, I think insurance as an industry has risen rapidly over the last several years. I mean, that started pre the freight recession, and it's I'm surprised it hasn't put more carriers out of business at the way insurance is running. Obviously, fuel is a big one, but right now we seem to be catching a break on fuel, but we hadn't been during a lot of this tough market.
Still
either.
plenty of time before the election, or we can
Yeah.
get some gamesmanship going in there.
So yeah, but I mean, our it's everything. Truck costs are depreciation on the truck that I pay every month is rising. Trailers cost more to buy. It's just it's so across the board. It's everything.
Yeah, let's talk about trucks. How's the correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're involved in recruiting.
Yeah, well, I was. Yeah.
Okay, but you obviously need drivers recruited to manage the fleet that you're running.
Yep.
How's that looking right now? Driver recruiting, empty trucks. Is there a market out there? There's enough capacity, but there's a lot of movement between companies. What does that look like in the current state?
Boy, that's like a really detailed question.
Yeah,
So,
well, it's a detailed podcast.
Yeah.
It's trucking industry Bible here.
There is a lot of movement right now, but what you tend to see is the more experienced drivers kind of hunker down, and you see the inexperienced guys. I mean, to put it in perspective, if you started trucking in 2022, what you think the trucking world is for you
very
has
different.
totally changed, and there are people still desperately trying to find that back, and so they're moving around quite a bit. But what you see is the more experienced drivers out there, they hunker down and wait it out at their carrier. And if they do make a move, they're very, very calculated about it, and they'll do a ton of research and really look into the job before they jump ship. So for us, turnover's been rough. We've been able to hire, but within those people we're hiring, they're turning over too still.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing on the flatbed side. There's it seems any market that has a drastic shift either up or down is going to lead to a lot of movement between companies. You can replace them in some of those, but they're just less sticky in those moments.
Yeah, and there's some carriers that have combated it in different ways. I've talked to carriers that have essentially salary for their drivers, and those drivers are hunkered down and stay there.
That's a newer trend you're seeing?
Yeah, it's been a trend for the last few years. Usually it's done in some sort of pay guarantee system, where they're going to guarantee them at least $1,200 or $1,400 a week. It's kind of the numbers you hear in the industry, and that seems to hold a driver in place, but then the company's paying,
right, regardless of whether or not they have production out of that truck.
And so it's a tough thing to manage, and you see some companies manage it well, and you see some companies even turn those programs off in times like this because they can't afford to do it.
Sure. How's the technological evolution kind of hitting both your guys' worlds, between pushes from customers for autonomous vehicles and things like that, and just different tracking stuff that the customers now have at their disposal and everything? Is it complicated things, made things easier? Are there any threats or gaps out there or opportunities that are kind of on your horizon related to tech one way or another?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big piece of it, right?
Yeah, very broad question there.
Yeah, it's a huge piece, that's for sure. I think you're seeing it across the board, whether that's, some AI getting involved with spot quoting to do some of that stuff, service reporting, tracking, like you said, all that stuff is up, and yeah, the customers are wanting that stuff. So you definitely have to stay up with the times on the technology piece of it. and it's something that we're constantly meeting on weekly. And there's always a tech package going out there that we're working on and trying to improve upon. But yeah, I would say for the most part, it's the data, trying to organize that and get that into a presentable fashion, and it's the tracking, and then I think the big thing that I'm seeing right now is on the spot piece of it. Trying to just put some guidelines in to be able to automatically kick out rates to customers on a time sensitive basis, right?
My experience is there's a lot of our competition out there that is utilizing a lot of that AI technology for some of that spot pricing scenarios.
Yeah.
And, a lot of them it allows you to churn out a lot of volume really quickly.
Right. And there's so much competition out for there. That's so, putting someone behind that, it can be a little bit deflating at times with your win rate, being as low as it is, to just keep going through it and going through that exercise and being told no. So getting that AI out there to do that for us not only speeds things up, but helps a lot with the workload on the employee.
Are you getting any kind of pressure to get autonomous vehicles tested or anything? I know in the specialized world, the securement piece has probably poor choice of words, but it has inhibited us from going too far into the autonomous vehicle world, just because of that unique, funny shaped freight that needs to be secured by somebody and be held responsible.
Yeah. No, not really. We get pressure from shippers, and I wouldn't even call it pressure, because we're usually adapting certain things before a shipper would even ask us to. That's the safety.
Pressure's a poor word.
Yeah. But like the safety-driven technology, not necessarily self-driving, but the truck's braking, which they've done for a while now. Lane change stuff like that. So we've been doing that for a while. We'd be doing it without the customers, and we're not really getting any pressure to test any of that other stuff. It's a blessing and a burden, of course. On your side, the drivers don't always like the new technology. It's not,
it feels a little big brothery at times.
Yeah. Like the adoption of the automatic truck is a painful thing for people. The camera systems, the self-braking, all that stuff. But we've got stuff too that they're really appreciating. We're putting self-inflating tires systems onto a certain amount of trucks right now to test out, and that's stuff they actually want, and it makes their lives easier. So it's a mixed bag. In the office, of course, we have the same benefits that Eric talked about. Planning loads is getting easier and easier because the system identifies what's the better fit more and more correctly as time goes on. Monitoring where the drivers are at and all that stuff gets easier and easier. We have cameras inside of our trailers so we can see if they're loaded or not. And that stuff drivers appreciate, customers appreciate. But there's no serious pressure right now to do anything like extreme as far as the electric trucks or self-driving trucks or anything like that.
So cargo theft has been a hot topic in our industry.
Brutal.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen of any customers behaving in different or unique ways that have protected themselves better against those scenarios, or is it really incumbent on obviously choosing the right partners that are going to be safer, more secure, and have better systems and processes is one way to do it. But have you seen anything else beyond that, or is it a lot of that lying on just who the partner is that you're partnering with?
Yeah, I think it's relying on, the carrier, right, and who your partner is. I have seen some more, second level insuring, right? That, you're booking something and maybe they're coming back to you just to ensure that that's actually you that booked
Making
it.
You prove
right,
it. Yeah.
Right. We've seen some of that, but no, I think it's been such a hot topic, as a carrier. I think, we're pretty aware of it right now and really looking at the alarms out there, the red flags out there and trying to overcome them. But no, it's something I think we've always been dealing with. I just think it's come to light more and, put a new emphasis, refocus on it.
I think it's definitely talked about more in the onboarding process with customers now than it used to be. It used to almost be treated as an afterthought, where now it's like almost
it just never really came up.
Right.
I've been in transportation for 16 years, and until this year, I could count on one hand how many loads I heard of that got stolen.
Yeah, and even if it was part of the startup process, it was almost just like a paragraph in a contract somewhere. Right. Where now you will go through checklists with customers and different things like that.
Right. Yeah. That's, and part of that is just the awareness is just that much easier with technology, and people just know of the ongoing trends and threats out there in the industry.
Yeah, and it used to be like you'd only hear of things like electronics and
Right.
cigarettes and all that kind of stuff stolen, and now it's like
That's baby milk. And
yeah, I have a friend that works at a carrier. They had a load of Campbell's soup stolen. I mean,
yeah.
what's that person doing with
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Yeah, well, Dollar General or something, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all right, industry-wide, you guys got anything else you want to discuss? Otherwise, I do have some trivia that I'd like to run by you guys and see how you guys perform on some general market trivia between you two.
He's probably gonna
Let's go.
take that away.
You guys have covered the industry enough. We're good there.
Well, we'll find out, I guess, huh?
All right. So I got a couple questions here. Let's go with what % of new brokerage authorities remain active after 2 years?
Ooh, I bet it's a really low number.
I'm going to say, I might want to hear. Is this like a Price is Right thing? Can't go over type thing?
Sure.
Or what? All right.
Yep.
Oh, then you go.
Oh, that's how we're going to play it, huh?
Come on,
What
Eric.
percent
we
are
need time here.
active after 2 years?
Yep, 2 years.
I'm going to say 27%.
Okay.
We're Price is Right rules?
Yes, so you're going to go 28.
One.
33%.
Aha! It's 1-0.
So 2/3 of brokers that start go out of business after 2 years. So keep that in mind when you're selecting partners. You got to make
Yes.
sure you want to partner with somebody that is established and has some track record there, especially in light of some of the cargo theft stuff we talked about. The more track record, the more stuff you can dig up on them, and hopefully some more confidence can be built there.
I'd also say the more they're likely to be checking down the carriers they're using and
Yeah,
having
that's
the
also-
proper security stuff in place to prevent that.
Correct, yeah. How many billions of gasoline, or diesel, I guess, were used in 22?
You better get this one
Oof,
right.
no, I have no clue. Billions in what? Where? Like in America, in the world?
Sure, America. Definitely America.
Definitely.
Let me
just
check my
America.
fact checker. Yeah, America.
America. All right. Just this America or
Yep.
North America?
Just North America. Just United States. Let's go.
United
with.
States. Okay.
That was just United States.
Lower 48.
Yeah.
Lower 48 only, or
Nope, all 50.
You're going to draw this
Alaska?
out so you don't
Yeah,
have to give an answer, right? Is that the goal?
I'm trying to
You
get
guys-
to move on.
It's this. Just pick it out.
Holy cow. Let me think here.
Eric, why don't you just go ahead?
Sorry, I'll act like the fool. I'll go billions of gallons.
I shouldn't have even told you that.
No, you shouldn't have, because I probably would have come in with
Millions or
a
something.
million. We'll throw 8 out there.
Oh man, I'm going to wildly. I was going to say 400 billion.
Even though you went over, I think your answer is far more appropriate.
Is it
It's
eight?
134.
Ooh.
8 is
Well, hey, listen.
Well, he doesn't know.
clear. You don't work in
8 is
the
closer to
operations side.
134, though,
Well,
than
it
was,
134
but
to 4,
it's
right?
The optics of 8
Yes.
and 134 and 134 and 400. I think we got to give
There's a lot
Lars
more
that
electric
one.
trucks out there, and he was just over.
Yeah, that's what I was.
He figured
we're
it
going back
gone
to that technology.
way
piece,
down.
right?
Right. All right, last one. These numbers don't align,
Let's get
so
a
I'm not going to
softball
go
in
with that
here.
one. What % of the cargo goods, whatever you want to call it, in the U.S. is delivered via truck?
Well, I was going to say 100%. They have to touch a truck at some point, I would think.
Ooh. I'm not
That
gonna
might
go
be
I think you're overthinking
bold, yeah.
it. It's high, 85.
You guys are both right. The number's not right, so I don't trust this number whatsoever.
What is the number you have?
Yeah.
72.7%.
How else is it getting there?
I guess if you live in a small community, maybe just like farms and stuff,
Oh, yeah, like
You growing your own
farm
food.
to table, maybe?
but that seems like a very high percentage. Our data analytics and research team here needs to up their game a little bit. We will bring that to the attention of the producers and make sure that we're getting the quality information here for our trivia.
I
Because
think next time, too, I would define what a truck is better, because technically a pickup is a truck.
got that. Okay. All right. I think that wraps up everything here today, unless you two have any wonderful insight you can give us into the current market or what lies ahead
No,
that hasn't been covered.
I think we're just excited to move on here, get to the fall peak for our retail a little bit, and hopefully we see some more demand out there and see an increase of rates.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
help
I would
everyone.
like to stop talking about the down freight market at some
yeah.
point.
I'm
so-
with you. I'm
it
with you.
would be,
I'm sick of answering those questions.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I was doing an article, and I think I said more of the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
From my last update.
I just
a
had to
couple
do. I
days
just
ago.
had to do a Morgan Stanley update. The same kind of deal.
Yeah.
More of the same. More of the same. More of the same. So that being said, next month will be a different update. I promise you. We will have different guests. Thank you guys so much for coming in. It was a great conversation on the van industry. Please check in next month to the Beyond the Road Trucking Industry podcast, and also check out our learning hub at atsinc.com and see some good material out there about ongoing overall trends and stuff in the industry, but also very heavily weighted on current items. Thank you very much.